we need to create a post office in our city. It's our number one detractor, which is creating discontent among our citizens. So we will start working on that. I don't know if we need to create postal, like mailboxes and a post office, or if just the post office will do. I would assume we need to create a post office and then mailboxes for coverage. But we will see. We'll figure it out by experimenting. I don't really have any particular ambition for where I wanted to build a post office, but we could probably put it right there. We'll have to demolish a house, but that's okay. It's an interesting little post office. It fits into the middle of the city quite well. And it looks like we're going to need, I would imagine, a second post office. Maybe a modernist post office over here on the, well, what side of town is that? We have the ocean over there in the distance, and this is kind of like a New Orleans themed build, so we're going to say that the river shore is the north end of town. So we'll go ahead and put another post office right there. And then we'll start placing mail stops. I don't know if it really matters where we put them, so I'm going to just be somewhat arbitrary. Kind of just put them kind of various random places so that we get reasonable coverage citywide. And we'll put a small mail office here on the south end of town. And of course, near the prison so that the prisoners can send letters to their girlfriends and mothers and stuff. So, well, look at that. Hopefully the post offices start making our people happier, because they're going to be able to write each other letters and stuff. While we're at it, we probably ought to build a radio mast, because, you know, what is a city without radio to keep people informed and maybe indoctrinated with positive messages that will make them feel inspired to enjoy living in the perfect community that we have crafted for them. There's a radio mast. We can also do a Japanese radio mast. I think they... So this mast is just a little bit more... has a little more range on it. We'll put it right there. All right. So that kind of covers our mail service and basic communications. So we should start to see a little bit more happiness as a result of having created our city's postal service. We have a high crime risk, and I don't know if there's anything more we can do about that, because we have lots of jail availability. We have a whole lot of prison availability. And we have pretty good police coverage as far as I can tell. So I don't know what more we really can do to address the crime problem that we apparently have. There's still 17 criminals out and about throughout our city. Maybe we should build a police headquarters, because, you know, we got to take crime seriously, right? So we'll put this police headquarters right in the middle of our future downtown corridor, because it's important for the criminals to know that we are not going to let them make our city a bad place to live. This is going to be a really nice place to live. As a matter of fact, I would say probably even a perfect place to live. I did accidentally demolish an office tower to make room for this building, but that's all right. I don't have any demand for office right now, so maybe we'll do some a little bit more commercial district here. So we should be good for public safety. I think we've got enough police and law enforcement services around to not worry about that. We're going to look at our happiness meters again. Traffic. We've worked on improving traffic. I know we can get better, but we do have a bus service that we created last time, and we have some bike lanes and things. So I think that's getting a little bit better. Things really are getting a lot better here for everyone. We have a little bit of a detractor due to noise pollution, health coverage issues, entertainment, and that's about the only problems we have. So I don't know how to improve entertainment. I wonder if that's parks. Maybe parks contribute to, see, that they contribute to outdoor recreation. I don't know what exactly contributes to entertainment. Like, does the telecom tower contribute to entertainment? I'm not sure. Sometimes this game has failed to explain certain aspects of its mechanics. So, like, for example, if I'm trying to see how do I improve the entertainment rating of the city, I don't know. Like, what is it? I can probably Google it if I want to. But I don't know. Like, there's not really like a in-game Wikipedia kind of a thing, and I'm not super sure. So We can build a baker and confectionery. Maybe we should do that. I'm going to take a little break from whatever it was we were doing to add another unique building or two. And you know where I think I'd want to build a bakery? I'd want to put it over by the farmer's market. Like, is there a better place for a bakery than by the farmer's market? I don't think so. I think that's about the best place you could put one. So let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks really nice, actually. I do like that. I'm assuming that outdoor recreation, it basically will contribute to entertainment. So probably more parks will help with the entertainment score in our city. I'm assuming. We're gonna make that assumption and just go ahead and place a few more parks here and there. Look at that. Nice little merry-go-round park. Pretty cool. Actually, I kind of feel like I want that merry-go-round park to be back where we were at near the farmer's market because, you know, it just fits in really well there. Nice pedestrian area. Thankfully, we have quite a few more park options than we used to have. We've got this fairly small Ferris wheel. I think I want to put it by the waterfront at some point, but maybe not yet. We could put a dog park maybe over here. And a large city park. Right there. We'll put some small plazas kind of all over the place just to improve our total city park coverage. We can always move those later on if we want to. Well, that just about covers it. Not perfect coverage, but at least we're somewhat covered for city parks throughout the city. And we no longer have that negative score for bad entertainment. Now we have a +6 score for entertainment. So that really solved a lot of that concern. Just a little bit of negativity surrounding traffic and a little bit of noise pollution. So we can now say that our citizens are plenty happy. They're also getting more educated, but we do need one more elementary school. So we'll go ahead and get that built while we're here. And to accomplish that, I think we're going to move the police station and put the city high school here next to it. That block is starting to look a little bit more respectable. I think it needs some trees though, doesn't it? Now that we've got all of our services covered, we will move on to building a few more monuments. Income is very strong, plus 121,000 simoleons per hour. So I think we can afford to do... Well, I was thinking about building a church, because the truth is, a city like this should be anchored by some really elegant places of worship. New Orleans had a Roman Catholic influence, which significantly shaped the course of the city's development. In fact, its flag has the fleur-de-lis symbols on it, which are, at least in part, a nod to the city's Catholic heritage. So the question is, where would we put a cathedral? It should be right in the middle of town, probably. It should be highly visible as you're coming into town. So if we figure this is our main avenue here, we would want to see the church kind of front and center. But we don't have room to build a cathedral right there. So we could align the church with this axis. I think that's what we're going to do. Because we could totally build the cathedral right here. We are going to have to remove some streets. And I do want to double check to see if that's going to create any bus route problems. It's not. So we are going to be bold and indifferent to all of this development here. Demolish some roads. Use our executive privilege to build the Notre Dame. And that's a pretty big church. So to build it, we're going to have to demolish even more streets. So I guess some of these people aren't going to have anywhere to live because we just destroyed their houses so we could engage in this act of monumental construction. But that's okay, because in real life, things like that have happened quite frequently. So it's not particularly unrealistic for us to do this. But look how nice that looks. That really anchors the city and gives it a sense of majesty. I love that. I think that looks really good. And that was completely not planned until this moment. And now that we have cannibalized the city's street grid, we got to figure out what are we going to do about it. And I'd imagine our best bet is to just kind of do nothing about it. We will add a cul-de-sac here. And yep, that's all we're going to have to do. And it's kind of a weird cul-de-sac. We have like that kind of a, you would look at that and you'd say, why do we have a cul-de-sac there? And to answer that question, maybe what we should do is add some zoning for high density office space at the end of the cul-de-sac. Which I would do if I guess if I had any demand for office space. For whatever reason, I don't. Probably because we have more demand for residential space. So I guess that idea is out the window. So I guess it'll be the mixed density. Because we got a zone what is in demand. Just wanted to see if we had any signature buildings that we could use in this space that would fit in well. And you know, I'm not really. How about the Sunshine Hotel? That's actually kind of an idea. We could put a hotel here. I could see that being an attractive thing to do, because tourists are going to come down here to see the historic cathedral, and while they're there, they may want to stay at a hotel. So let's just go ahead and do that. And that's kind of an interesting contrast. It's a very elegant Art Deco tower. Not very big. It's not too imposing, but it does complement the church rather nicely. Or if we wanted to, we could imagine, like, if this was a situation kind of like Salt Lake City, where you have the Mormon church there and they have their church headquarters in downtown. I could see that building kind of complementing the church. Like maybe it's the diocese office for the local chapter of the Roman Catholic Church. I could see that being maybe a thing. Just making it up as I go, so, you know. We'll go ahead and add a pedestrian path there, just because it looks pretty good. And just like that, we've got some fairly high-rise developments that came back in. I think that looks pretty attractive. I'm liking it. Since we have demand for more residential, I guess we'll zone some more in right there. For some reason that path is causing me problems. But not to worry, that's all right. So now that we've got the Cathedral district built, I think it's time to focus less on serving the Lord and more on feeding the soul. And we're going to do that by building our first McDonald's. McDonald's is one of the very first assets to be custom made by someone. And, you know, that is pretty cool. So if we think about where a McDonald's would be, it would probably be quite near the highway exit. Like that's where McDonald's goes. So we're going to put that McDonald's right here. And, you know, that is a really cool looking thing because whoever put effort into creating this did an absolutely phenomenal job. Like you could look at this asset and you would never conclude that this is not professionally created, just like all of the other assets in the game. It's really, really elegant. So super cool to be able to have a McDonald's in the game. We aren't going to stop there though. We also have the new Whataburger asset, and it has arrived in the game as well. And what better place for Whataburger than inevitably right next to McDonald's? Because competition tends to love company. So there we have our first two fast food restaurants nestled together, and they can anchor this little neighborhood. We have industry here, but we're going to want to try to convert this area into more of a commercial development zone. Because quite often when you get off the freeway, you would have the expectation that there'd be businesses there, shopping centers, things like that. So I believe we still have a signature gas station. So if I can find it, there we go. Large petrol station. I wanted to put it right there on the corner. Maybe it looks better there. Unfortunately, the angles are just a little bit janky, so I will resort to my favorite fallback, which is to compensate for weird looking angles with a lot of trees. One nice thing about a lot of places in the South is that you got a lot of biodiversity. Like you could have palm trees survive in some places in the South, but you'd also have normal deciduous trees or evergreen trees that could do just fine as well. So It's kind of cool. So we got ourselves a gas station here. We got ourselves a couple fast food restaurants. At some point, we're going to have to do something about the fact that this road is often a bit too congested. So maybe we'll turn it into a 4-lane road right there. Not the whole thing, just part of it. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Maybe. Now over here, in this wide open space, I specifically wanted to create our city's first university. Because when the garbage dump moved, we can imagine that that piece of land would have been donated, quite possibly, to an educational establishment. Because again, that kind of thing happens quite a bit. Corporations will make significant donations to education or the arts. And it's sort of a good faith gesture. Or maybe it's almost like a bribe, maybe, in a way. Because big corporations want to be seen as friendly and socially conscious and stuff like that, so. So if they can appear to be good corporate citizens by donating some land to the city or being charitable or something, then, you know, they potentially will do that, which is not a bad thing. So there is our first university. And we will go into tree planting mode here. Which means we finally now have good coverage for all of our tiers of education, with the possible exception of elementary schools. We still need at least one more elementary school. So how about a suburban primary school? We'll put it out here on the outskirts of town because it seems like every city has some of those. Schools are kind of not in the middle of town, but they're servicing the suburbs. There's a second school near the cathedral, putting us in a pretty good place. So we have decorated our town with the cathedral, and we have added the university. We have improved our overall happiness quite a bit. And we added some telecommunications towers, as well as a postal service. So I think we've accomplished quite a bit, all things considered. There's a wildfire burning off in the distance, but we're not going to worry about that. I did download the Arc de Triomphe monument, which we're going to also want to find a space for in our city. And I have not settled on where exactly that's going to go yet. I do want to find a creative location to put it, though, so I'll be thinking about that. I like that long avenue that is anchored on the far end by the church. And I like this entry to the city that's anchored by the traffic circle and the water tower. I'm kind of thinking about possibly putting the arch like somewhere over here, like maybe where this farm field is at the end of that that street there. Like we have a pedestrian street on one side and we have the other street adjacent to it, but maybe we could put the arch like maybe in this triangle right here. Like that could be viable. I could see that being maybe a nice place for it. We also have this space here, but I don't think I want to put a monument there because I want that to be more like the commercial district. Big box stores and shopping centers and stuff like that. Then we have this park area here, which could be a good place for the monumental arch. Let's forget where the landmarks are. There we go. So the Arc de Triomphe. See, maybe that park right there is the place we want to go with it, because that park is pretty centrally located. The only thing is it's close to the church over there, so it kind of feel like it'll be kind of caught in the shadow of the church. But here's an idea. What if we put it right there? It'll be near the water. It'll be iconic. I think I like that. I think that's gonna be where we put it. It's gonna be a little tricky to get it lined up right. But not to worry. I think we got this. All right, there we go. One of the nice things about the game is we can modify our surfaces to make assets like this fit in a little bit better. I think that looks all right. It's not perfectly symmetrical, but I do feel like I kind of like that. You know, like not everything in life has to be perfectly symmetrical. It's okay to have some edges that are a little bit uneven. I was gonna see if I could do manicured grass, which I can do, but I've got to kind of trace out around that circle to get it right. That's all right. Yeah, I was thinking about where I was going to put this monument for a while. Kind of divided on where to go with it because it's such a cool monument, but you can also squander it by putting it in a place where it's either not particularly visible or it just feels super cliche because, you know, it's just planted in the middle of a traffic circle. Like, that's exactly how it is in real life, so why would I want to replicate real life without any creative liberty? But this feels kind of interesting. And then that anchors this long pedestrian pathway that we have. And it helps us to achieve a really distinctive waterfront view. Like if you're coming in on a boat or something, like you see that triumphal arch near the waterfront, like that immediately tells you, wow, that's a really beautiful city. I love what I see there. Now, the only other thing I really wanted to do here is to do something about parking on that street. So I forget where the bicycle paths are. Oh, they're under road services. There we go. So we'll add back our bike lanes, and then you'll see about maybe giving our folks some parking here, because, you know, it's a major tourist attraction, so you would expect there to be a need for parking. Now the only thing we need is the trees. So do some nice, clean rows of trees along the road. And that does it. Except over here, look at this. While we were working on that, a fire broke out. Isn't that crazy? Look at that. My goodness. I did not expect to see my whole town burn down. I did not expect to see that. That's not good. That's not good at all. What in the world? I am shocked. Oh my goodness. Let's what in the world am I doing here? Let's take a look at that fire. My goodness. We have a major problem here. I was over there just building away, having fun, and this fire has just decimated the city. Oh my goodness. That is not good at all. Well, I guess, you know, that's, that right there is screenshot worthy. My goodness. All right. Well, okay. Enough watching it. I guess we gotta take our fire department situation seriously and, look into some major infrastructural improvements. Not entirely sure that a fire department is going to fix this problem. It might just have to burn itself out. And then the city's going to have to rebuild. But I'll tell you what, the thing about that is we can allow that to be part of the city's lore, because in real life, things like the Chicago fire destroyed big parts of old historic towns. So when a fire breaks out and ravages the city, then you know, the next thing that happens is you have new construction that comes through and kind of takes advantage of it, I guess. So, you know, it's the circle of life. I did not realize that fire would spread that fast and consume that much of the city. And normally, if a fire breaks out, it doesn't destroy the main part of your downtown district. So that's also a bit unusual. Like, look at this. There's our tallest building in the city, all on fire, going down in smoke. It's the end. Look at that. What a shame. That building is that building gonna make it? I think it's a goner. I don't think they're gonna be able to. Nope. Oh dear. There it goes. Oh my goodness. Look at them people. They're like, oh no, help, help. Our building is gone. Oh no. Oh dear. That isn't good. Sorry, folks. Where are y'all going? Oh no. Someone's house fell down there. Oops. Oh my goodness. This is, look at them. They're heading out with their dogs. They're escaping. They're like, oh no, oh no. Help, help, help. Okay. Yep. My goodness, that's quite a blaze we have. Maybe we need probably for a situation like this, we really need to unlock the firefighting helicopter depot. I think that's something we need to do. And so that is going to be maybe that'll be our last act of business today, is going to be to build a firefighting depot, because, you know, we can't have this continuing to happen over and over again. Like, once is enough, right? So let's go ahead and come out here. Where there's still abundant space for building such things. Maybe. All right. There's a firefighting depot for helicopters. We will never forget the horrific events of this day. There was a fire out. I think it is. Fire is no longer burning, but a lot of people have perished, and our city is not the same as it was. We have a worker shortage because of all the people who have been displaced, or even perhaps those who did not endure the tragedy. Definitely a pretty rough situation here, which may or may not dramatically change the look of the city in the future. But we will rebuild, so it will be okay. But those buildings are not going to demolish themselves, so you're going to have to start clicking. That is some pretty crazy damage, though. I don't have disaster response vehicles, so I can't rebuild some of these. So I guess if it's a building that I can't automatically rebuild, it'll just get demolished, and then that'll give us a chance to do something different with that space in the future. That's one of the facts of life, that things change, and sometimes tragedies happen. So we could be frustrated about the disappointing loss of progress here in the urban core, or we can just accept the fact that it's part of the story of the city. And we will always remember the interesting things that have happened here. We're gonna have to demolish the cemetery too, because it got burned down, which is kind of a shame if you think about it. But I think we will rebuild the cemetery, because it stands to reason that we have to have a place to lay lay folks to rest. And if a fire went through a city and burned a bunch of stuff down, you wouldn't probably remove the cemetery afterwards. Like, I don't think that would happen. So we're still doing fine financially. Money is coming in. People are moving back in. The city will be just fine. But now, because of this fire that ravaged the town, we have a lot of room to rebuild and replan. And that's where we're going to leave this episode, and it'll be fun in the next one to look at these spaces again and kind of replan and see, like, how can we use this opportunity to reinvent the downtown area and evolve it into something that's interesting. So it's going to be an interesting part of the story to come back, and maybe we'll even add a new skyscraper, you know, like, wouldn't that be cool? The city will get its first skyscraper as part of the urban recovery following a terrible fire. As a matter of fact, we might even be able to take a peek at some of the skyscrapers that are available to us right now. Maybe we can put a skyscraper in right now to demarcate the end of this episode. I don't know. We have the Long Wires Tower, like a brutalist kind of a tower. What is that? The Finanstrom. A 1980s European skyscraper. It has a pretty small footprint. So you know what? I think we can put that right there. We used to have a school here and a fire station. Or no, it was a school and the police headquarters. But maybe now, since those burned down, we will put this new office tower here. And that will be the first true skyscraper to come to our city. And then, since we have a healthcare crisis following what happened, we will also look into building a large new hospital. I think the hospital will go right there into this park. That looks kind of iconic. So I guess that's where we're going to leave it. One new hospital, one new skyscraper, a little bit more space in what had been the growing downtown area, and some opportunities for us to continue working on growing our city back to where it was, or perhaps better than where it was next time. And we are now just about 30,000 people in our growing city of Providence. I think it's all turning out pretty well, to be honest. And even though the fire was a bit of a tragedy, I do kind of like it that it happened, because it adds to the story of the city, and it gives us a chance to kind of rebalance things and, and tell a story that is random and not necessarily expected. So till next time, thanks so much for watching.